In this video, we're going to outline the installation steps required to install our Rockford Fosgate Prime Series Harley Davidson motorcycle-specific speaker and amplifier kit. We will be installing this kit on a Harley Davidson Road Glide motorcycle. Let's take a look at some of the tools you're going to need to complete this. First, you're going to need a T25 Torx screwdriver or screwdriver bit, a number 1 and number 2 Phillips screwdriver, a small flathead screwdriver, a 1/8 inch and 5/32 inch Allen screwdriver, a 7/16 and 7/32 socket wrench, as well as a 7/16 and 1/2 inch combination or open-end wrench. To start the install, we first need to remove the front fairing. To do this, locate the 3 retaining screws on either side of the fairing and remove. Next, locate the turn signal brackets on either side of the lower fairing, remove the nuts and bolts. In some installs, the bracket itself may also be removed. Once the brackets are removed, pull the fairing forward and lift up to release from its fairing mount. Then unplug the headlight harnesses and set the fairing aside. Once the fairing is removed, locate the factory speakers and disconnect the factory speaker wires. Take note as to which wires are on the clutch side and brake side speaker. This will be important later when reconnecting the aftermarket harness. Once the speaker wires are disconnected, remove the 4 retaining screws that hold the speaker in place. Next, install the Rockford speaker back in place of the factory speaker using the supplied hardware. Once the speakers are installed, now on to the amplifier assembly. First step will be to mount the amplifier to the mounting bracket provided. While the amplifier can be mounted in either position, up or down, our recommendation is to mount it so the power connector is facing up on the bracket, with the small V groove cut in the bottom of the bracket facing down. Once the amplifier is attached to the bracket, we will now go ahead and attach the supplied harnesses in the kit. It is important to note that you want to connect the harnesses to the amplifier prior to installing the amplifier on the motorcycle, as access to the different harnesses and controls may be difficult afterwards. Once the harnesses are connected to the amplifier, adjust the level control to -3 dB on the amplifier itself using a small flat blade screwdriver. Now, remove 2 retaining nuts behind the wiring harnesses on the motorcycle. This will facilitate the mounting of the bracket of the amplifier. Once the nuts are removed, position the amplifier and mounting bracket over them, making sure that the V-groove notch is pointing downward, and reinstall the nuts. Once the amplifier is mounted, you can now fish the power wire harness out through the bottom of the fairing. Locate the orange wire in the supplied harness. This wire will connect to the cigarette lighter mounted in the fairing. Disconnect the factory wire from the cigarette lighter, connect the orange wire to it, and then reconnect the wire to the cigarette lighter. This will provide the remote turn-on signal for the amplifier to activate. And now wiring the speakers. First, take the Rockford harness, connect the factory speaker wires to the other half of the harness on each side, and connect the positive and negative speaker wire to each speaker, paying attention to the label clutch side, brake side speaker wires. Now to complete the power wiring. First, start by removing the seat. Remove the retaining bolt and lift the seat off the motorcycle and set aside. Next, remove the gas cap trim plate by removing the 3 screws, gas cap, and lift the plate off. This will expose the wiring channels underneath. Also pay attention to remove the vent tube from the gas cap trim plate as well. While continuing to work on the electrical side, it is recommended to reinstall the gas caps so gas fumes do not build up in the event there's an electrical spark. Once the trim plate is removed, route the power wire along the gas tank top alongside the other factory wiring. Remember to secure the supplied harness to the factory wiring harness using the supplied zip ties. Once the cable is routed across the top of the gas tank, position and reinstall the gas cap trim piece, remembering to reconnect the gas tank vent tube. Now, Connect the power harness to the factory battery by removing the negative and positive screw lugs. Position the ring terminal over each respective lug and reinstall the factory bolt. Once the power and ground connections are made, it's time to test the system to make sure that the amplifier and speakers function properly. Once the system is verified to be working properly, begin reassembly of the motorcycle, starting with the seat and moving on to the fairing. Reinstall the fairing by reconnecting the headlight harness, reinstalling the turn signal brackets on either side, and reinstalling the screws on either side. Once this is done, the installation is now complete.